Hi everyone, I'm CBS 19 Chief Meteorologist Brett Anthony. Welcome to our stream here on CBS 19 Plus, also on our YouTube channel and of course on our Facebook page. You can like, subscribe, and share on the YouTube. You can also share this on the Facebook page. Also, you can comment, ask any questions that you might have. This time of the year, I usually start up something called Brett's Beach Ball Forecast, where we take a look at the forecast for beaches within about an 8 hours drive of East Texas. So that would be as far east as Destin, as far south down towards South Padre Island. We don't have any specific forecasts for those locations just yet. We'll wait till we get closer to Memorial Day to start doing those forecasts, but we'll take an overview of the upcoming tropical system. Of course, hurricane season usually begins, in tradition, June 1st, and then it runs all the way to the end of November. Right now, there's not much going on in the Gulf. The water temperatures are on the cooler side of things. Some of the computer models in the longer range have hinted at a couple of things trying to blow up toward Florida in about 10 to 14 days. But again, that's just really loose speculation at this time. Those models really can't be trusted, and a lot of times they change. And that is a reminder as we head through the tropical season that when you start seeing posts on Facebook and on Twitter, remember, they're trying to get clicks, okay? So they're going to show you 16 days out some big tropical system that's heading into the Gulf of Mexico, and that's just simply too early to really tell what could happen. Now, we can use cycling weather pattern theories. You can use the Madden-Julian oscillation, perhaps, to maybe pinpoint a time when there might be more activity in the Gulf of Mexico or in the Atlantic, El Nino, La Nina. I like to use something called the long-range cycling weather pattern theory. It's a weather pattern theory that a friend of mine and colleague Gary Lezak came up with many years ago, and so far it's been doing pretty well when it comes to at least giving you some hot spots where there could be some tropical development. All right, so without further ado, I know I burned about a minute here talking about that. Let's take a look at what could happen over the next 4 days. Believe it or not, this surface low pressure area here that forms off the Gulf, this could be a signal of something that could come back in, say, about 6 weeks, 12 weeks. It could be cycling back about every 6 or 8 weeks. So once we get deeper into hurricane season, it could be a tropical system or it could be something even more. But it does pinpoint this area here for the potential for development of something later on in the tropical season. Anyway, over the next 4 days, we're looking at lots of rain from Atlanta back toward Houston, Central Gulf. I mean, look at that spin. You can see it. In fact, some of that rain spins back into East Texas, and Florida, which is in a drought, needs a lot of rainfall, really in the next few days gets a big drink of rain. Now, that's not great if you're headed to Disney or Universal, or perhaps just headed to Tampa or Miami, perhaps even cruising out of Port Canaveral. It does look drier on that side Sunday. Notice, too, if you're leaving on a cruise from Galveston on Sunday, right now just cloudy skies. You get out into the Central Gulf, you might run into a few showers, and farther south you go, there could be a little bumpier water here, especially once you start getting down toward Cancun and Cozumel. You run into some showers by Monday morning. Otherwise, rain continues to just kind of stall from Atlanta through western parts of Miami, or western parts of Florida, I should say. And we have a couple of rain showers trying to stick around into East Texas here through the start of the week. The bigger story for most of the southern plains and most of Texas is going to be the heat next week, as we could see, at least here in Tyler, our first 90-degree day officially of 2025. All right, so we've got showers up to about Monday throughout Florida. We go into Tuesday. You can see that rain slowly moves across the area. Now, if you're down at, say, Costa Maya, if you are at Cozumel, going all the way down to Roatan, there are some rain showers in the forecast down in those locations. It doesn't look like it's an all-day rain, but just be aware that if you got on an excursion or if you have a beach time, you may get rained on for a little bit of time. Meantime, if you were headed out of, say, Port Canaveral or Miami and you were headed to the Bahamas, also Monday into Tuesday, you've got a chance for some scattered showers in those locations. Back here, we're talking about some clearer skies throughout Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. All right, so the 2025 Atlantic season names. If we get one, first tropical storm up or hurricane will be Andrea, followed by Barry, then Chantal, then Dexter, Aaron, Ferdinand, Gabrielle, Umberto, Imelda, Jerry, Karen, Lorenzo, Melissa, Nestor, Olga, Pablo, Rebecca, Sebastian, Tanya, Van, and Wendy. Will we get through the list of names. I've got a forecast here at the end of the season, at the end of this forecast here at the end of this video. We're going to use the Colorado State University forecast just to look ahead. That's just one of the forecasts that's out there right now. All right, something that we look for if we're looking for tropical development, of course, we want some warm water, not only on the surface, but we want it to go a little bit deeper into the ocean. And right now, I mean, the water temperatures off the coast of Texas and Louisiana are pretty mild. You get out into the Central Gulf, it gets a little bit warmer. There are some warmer waters here down to Central America and over into the Eastern Caribbean, out toward the Leeward Islands, but nothing alarming at this moment. Last year, we had some water temperatures that were breaching 85 degrees, pushing 90 degrees. Certainly would not want that to happen again, as that could be a breeding ground for tropical systems. But right now, everything's kind of on hold, so that is good news. Of course, it's mid-May, or it's early May, so that we don't really expect to see much in the way of warming temperatures. There is, however, a lot of tropical storm energy. I talked about thunderstorms possibly down in Cozumel, and maybe if you go down toward the Leeward Islands, maybe down towards St. Lucia or St. Thomas, and even Puerto Rico, there could be some afternoon thunderstorms. There's certainly some energy down there, but going through time, and I'm going to play this out, through Sunday, Monday, and through most of the week, the energy really stays where the temperatures are going to be the warmest, down towards San Juan, down towards Central America. And you can see just a little bit of energy beginning to build back here by Tuesday in around Houston and Galveston, New Orleans. Miami's got some of that energy for thunderstorms possibly popping up there, but nothing off the charts. Of course, we do have rain in that forecast throughout parts of Florida with the cold front pushing in, and lots of rain also in the forecast, so that might be one of the reasons. All right, well, hurricanes, they cannot survive when there is a lot of shear. And so where you see the blue, that's where there are strong winds aloft, and those stronger winds aloft will tear the top off of a building or developing low pressure area or a thunderstorm. So you'll notice most of the Gulf, most of the Western Caribbean, Eastern Caribbean out into the Central Atlantic all shows a fair amount or high amounts of shear. So if any thunderstorm complex got developed at this point, it looks like that shear would just tear those thunderstorms apart. In fact, it increases through the weekend and into early next week. So really no threat of any kind of tropical development out into the Central Gulf, even into the eastern part of the Caribbean or Western Atlantic at all. Looks like it was going to be fairly quiet. Western or Eastern Pacific, I should say, also looks pretty calm when it comes to the wind shear, keeping thunderstorms or larger areas of low pressure from forming. So we should be okay in the next 7 to 10 days. All right, so now we start to look at spin in the atmosphere. This has an impact here in East Texas. If you're watching us from East Texas, this is our upper level low pressure area. This is quite a bit of spin for us. And again, perhaps an indicator in 12 to 18 weeks down the road into summer that if we can get a similar low pressure area to repeat in this area, then that could become more of a tropical system. This is just a upper level low. It is not any kind of tropical system, even though it has the characteristics of looking like a low pressure area. You'll see it spin here as we head through the weekend. In fact, the spin retrogrades or moves from east to west. As it does bring rain showers into parts of Texas, keeps rain showers around Louisiana, and then that slowly begins to move to the east as it takes the rain and the cold front into Florida early next week. We run this out through late next week, and you'll see there's not a lot of energy. If you're looking at severe weather late next week, you might look at this area from St. Louis or Kansas City back through western parts of Texas, maybe down into Oklahoma. There's a little storm energy starting to show up. I only have this played out through Thursday. Likely there's a fairly large ridge of high pressure right here, keeping things dry and hot across Texas and Oklahoma. But as we get closer to next weekend, we'll see how this all evolves, because there is a chance we could start to see some stronger thunderstorms develop out in the central and southern plains, and then those would start to move to the northeast. But through Thursday of next week, it pretty much looks a-okay. All right, so let's talk about what Colorado State University scientists and forecasters have found. And so far, they are forecasting an above average season, again, June 1st to the end of November. And they are looking at warmer than average sea surface temperatures. Of course, we've seen a lot of that over the last couple of years. And so that would be indicative of a stronger season. And we also have a lack of El Nino. If we, it's almost in the oscillation, the La Nina, El Nino oscillation. What we find is that if we're in closer to neutral or La Nina, then the waters tend to be a little bit cooler, and we have a harder time watching those thunderstorms form. If there's El Nino, the ocean waters in the Gulf and in the Atlantic can be warmer, and of course that's the breeding ground or the fuel that those tropical systems need. So there's a lack of El Nino this year, and because of that, we are going to see cooler temperatures, and so that might be just a little bit of a mitigating factor there. All right, let's take a look at the Colorado State forecast. Named storms on average 14. The forecast is for 17. Hurricanes, 7 on average. The forecast for 9 major hurricanes right now for the 2025 hurricane season. 3 is the average, and 4 is the forecast right now. There will be several other forecasts that will come out, of course, as we go through hurricane season, but it does look like it could be an average to above average season across the Atlantic Basin into the Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of America and out into the Eastern Atlantic. So certainly something to keep an eye on. All right, thanks for watching this update here on our YouTube channel and of course on our CBS 19 Plus channel and also on the Facebook page. If you have any questions, please drop those in the comments and we will try to answer those for you. Otherwise, have a great weekend, everyone.